Good afternoon. As usual, so please make sure each time when you come to TBC to study Lamrim, to study the psychology and science, even though when you attend the prayers and chanting in TBC, make sure you generate the proper motivation, particularly when you attend the Lamrim class, any class in other center, make sure you have the right motivation, the right understanding. So we have been studying Lamrim for quite a long time. So we must know we are studying, we have been studying Lamrim. So we have been studying Buddhism. The main purpose, main reason is to achieving Buddhahood. So we are not simply study for, how to make food, how to, sell things. So mainly focus on how to achieve Buddhahood. So the study is very important because the achievement is very important. Therefore, each time when you open Dharma book, you must think, I'm going to get, the proper information, proper knowledge for reducing my negative thoughts, increasing my positive thoughts, as well, going to get right information or right instruction how to achieve Buddhahood, how to achieve liberation, how to be happy all the time. I mentioned many times, the more you get, Dharma knowledge, the more you reduce your ego, your attachment, your desire, your misperception. The more you study Dharma, the more increase your negative thoughts. That means, that the important medicine became poison. So everything depends on motivation and right effort. So now we are studying special insight within the 6 perfections, the concentration and wisdom, the wisdom included into a special insight. After you get certain knowledge of Dharma, all the knowledge you must put into practice through meditation. Once you have good understanding of compassion, also you must meditate on compassion, or we can use, you must every day you generate compassion and love. So when you meditate on something, there's many different levels. The most profound one, meditate on emptiness, meditate on selflessness. So before we meditate on emptiness, we must know, what does mean emptiness, how I can realize emptiness, or emptiness is existent or not. Make sure, because our achievement is Buddhahood and liberation. Clear? So in order to achieve, the important goal, Buddhahood and liberation, so we must cut the root of the sufferings, root of the problems, root of the samsara, which is ignorance. Otherwise, doesn't matter how much, how long you practice compassion, it can be reduced. Anger, but it cannot reduce attachment, desire. Doesn't matter how much, how long you meditate on essenceless detachment. It can be reduce your desire, but cannot reduce anger, so and so. Therefore, in order to reduce all the negative thoughts, in order to eliminate from the root, in order to eliminate all the negative thoughts from the root, we must realize emptiness. All the negative thoughts rooted by, ignorance. Without, realize emptiness, yes, you can reduce, certain amount of individually all the negative thoughts, but you cannot eliminate. Therefore, the realization emptiness is very important. Therefore, right now we are studying about how to realize emptiness. So, before you open your book, I will do short revision. Then you will remember. First, how we can achieve nirvana. The nirvana means the nature of your mind. Right now, nature of your mind is, polluted by all the defilements. When your nature of mind completely free from all the defilements, include ignorance, that means you are, become very enlightened being. Also you achieve liberation, because you yourself liberate from, sufferings, cause of suffering, as well your nature of your mind also, become complete pure, because it totally free from all the defilements. That means the emptiness of the mind in this moment is totally polluted by all the defilements. When you achieve liberation, your mind is completely free from all the defilements. That means the achievement, liberation, also nature of emptiness. The methods how to achieve enlightenment also, emptiness of your mind. So at the beginning, we talk about, the two types of reality, the means and the things going to achieve. So, in order to realize emptiness, there are so many different objects. We cannot, study one by one. Everything come into root, which is two types of emptiness, right? Emptiness of I, or emptiness of self, emptiness of phenomena. Still you put into, narrow down. That means emptiness of I, yourself, emptiness of your five aggregates. Because when we say, I'm not happy, that time we are, we have sense of clinging about I is a independent phenomena. Someday you have a strong attachment to someone, that means you have a sense of clinging of the phenomena as an independent phenomena. There's two types of emptiness. Then second, there is a long, explanation, explain how we can realize, the two types of emptiness. First, you try to understand the emptiness of self. In order to understand emptiness of self, second, you need to know emptiness of the aggregates. There's a two types of emptiness. First, you try to understand emptiness of self, emptiness of I, me. Then second, in order to know the emptiness of I, emptiness of me, then you check how I exist. I exist depending on 5 aggregates. Then second, you study how the 5 aggregates exist independently, exist merely dependently. Then you will realize, yes, I have 5 aggregates. 5 aggregates is there, but not there as perceived as to me. Then you will realize emptiness of the phenomena or emptiness of the aggregates. Then finally you will realize emptiness of the I. Then next, how we can realize emptiness. So this means emptiness is the existent phenomena. The negation is the non-existent things. So in order to realize emptiness, what you need to identify? What? You need to identify the object of negation. Object of negation means, so before I remember the example, somebody asked you to separate, the crystal and a diamond. They put mixed together. So before you separate the diamond and crystal, you must have a right, the fine understanding, difference between crystal and diamond. Otherwise, when you separate, crystal and diamond, then you have a confusion, right? So before you separate the two things, you must know this is the definition of crystal, this is the definition of the diamond. Then somebody asks, throw away the crystal, then you will throw away the crystal, not the diamond. Otherwise, you will throw away the diamond instead of the crystal. So that's why I say, why object of negation must be carefully identified, right? Very careful. If you don't, identify the object of negation very carefully, then you will have two problems, right? Two problems. So at the beginning he said, in order to be sure that a certain person is not present, you must know the absent person, right? So today Perry is absent, right? Before you say Perry is absent, you must know how Perry look like. Otherwise, you have a confusion. So this is the analogy. Likewise, in order to certain of the meaning of selflessness, it says, so in order to be certain of selflessness or the lack of intrinsic existence, in the middle way school, the Madhyamaka school, selflessness, emptiness is the same meaning. Same meaning. Other school has a different. So now we follow, the Nagarjuna school or middle way school. According to them, the selflessness, emptiness has the same meaning. So you must carefully identify the self or intrinsic nature that do not exist, right? So in order to know selflessness, you must know the self. In order to know empty of intrinsic nature, you must know the intrinsic nature, right? Nature, clear? Clear. Okay. Then this is, so if you don't really don't know very precisely the object of negation, then you will have two problems. What are they? falling into annihilation and absolutism. Right? That's how. So let's say, you try to understand emptiness. So that means it is so important, right? Otherwise, even though it doesn't matter how much you practice Dharma, how long you do meditation, the root of the samsara is always there. Always be healthy. You cannot change. So important, emptiness. Then, let's say I want to realize emptiness. How? That means first you must have a thing in your thoughts. Right? Let's say pot, like cup, your friends. You just have a thought about the person, then you remember the thing. Or you can see the thing. When you see the thing, then you know how thing is exist. Then yes, it is not exist inherently. Then you negate. You try to negate the negation, then you totally negate the phenomena. Right? In order to wash the clothes, clothes, you need to use, strong SS, right? SS or strong soap. Then, when you try to wash, and the cloth is very fragile, very soft, if you put too much SS, then the clothes completely destroyed, no more there. So, when you negate the negation, instead of negate the negation, you negate the phenomena, right? Or that means, the things are not there. All the person, all the people are not there. All phenomena are not there. That means you already fall into nihilism. So this is your problem because you cannot identify the object of negation, right? Object of negation. So instead of negate the negation, you negate the actual phenomena. Then finally you have to say, I'm not exist, nothing there, no karma, no next life, nothing, no Buddha. That is become very, dangerous. The second, then you thought, no, it cannot be there. It exists. The phenomena exists. I am exists. Karma exists. Buddha exists. When you posit, right? Establish. When you establish the phenomena, instead of establish the phenomena, you establish the negation. Then you fall into absolutism. This means there's a very fine line. So you must negate the negation. You must establish the phenomena. You must establish the phenomena. You must negate the negation. That's what we call middle way. Avoid the two extremes. Extreme of permanent, extreme of nihilation. Middle way this means when you look at the phenomena, you must know the phenomena is there. But is there not there as a inherently, right? Inherently. Is there not inherently, but is there mainly designation? That means if you don't recognize, if you don't identify the object of negation very carefully, you will have two problems. Therefore, so important to identify the object of negation very carefully. Otherwise, two problems. Therefore, during the Lama Tsongkhapa time, so before him, there was a lot of misunderstanding. That's why some Buddhists say nothing exists there, no production, right? They negate everything. So how they negate? Okay, there, those masters also they follow, the Madhyamaka school, middle way school. Then they thought, if the production exists, That means the production must be, produced from somewhere. Is produced by itself, produced from other, produced from both, produced from causeless. There's only 4 options. That's why the previous master thoughts, if we accept production, the production must be must be produced. Produced from itself cannot accept. Produced from both cannot accept. Produced from other cannot accept. Produced from causeless cannot accept. Therefore, there's no production. Production, one reason. Right? Second reason, those master thoughts. If production exists, if the conventional phenomena exists, then who really established them? Those must be established by valid cognition. Right? For example, let's say we have an argument. Somebody said, this Buddha statue is a golden color. Somebody said, no, its a color is blue. There's only one Buddha. It has only one color. Somebody say yellow. Somebody say blue. Then we have an argument. Finally, how we can finalize, how we can prove this is yellow or this is blue, right? So in order to prove this is yellow or blue color, you have to rely on the valid reason and valid cognition, right? So there are only 2 types of cognition. Cognition of the transcendent being, cognition of the transcendent, and opposite is not transcendent, transcendent and worldly being or non-worldly being. Transcendent or non-transcendent. For we are the not transcendent being. So our 5 senses is not valid cognition according to those masters. Then they have some quotation, right? So they thought, if convention and conventional phenomena exist, then conventional phenomena must be established by cognition, valid cognition. So non-transcendent being, all the minds cannot be valid, right? Valid cognition, because it has a lot of mistaken, a lot of misunderstanding. For example, let's say there's a 2 person. One is very young and very energetic. The person doesn't have a eyesight problem. Next to the young person, there's an old person, 90 or plus 90 and 94, 5 years old. But the person has a eyesight problem, right? Then, who can be truth when they look at the phenomena? Who can be the truth? The young person can be truth because he has a right eyesight. He can see things as it is. The old person can see but cannot see as it is. Right? Same thing, we are look like, 90 plus or 100 years old person. We cannot see much. We see little bit or cannot see so much. Right? Therefore, he said, the sublime wisdom, right? The sublime wisdom is the valid cognition. Right? Sublime means the arhat, arhat, arya. The aryas man are the valid cognition. Therefore, when the aryat, arhat, meditate on emptiness, the practitioner, the meditator can see only emptiness, right? Only emptiness. He cannot perceive any conventional phenomena. Clear? The arhat, when they meditate on emptiness, The meditator can perceive only ultimate phenomena, the ultimate truth, not the conventional truth. Therefore, the conventional truth, not established by the valid cognition, true reason. That's why they thought, there's no production. Then next is come into now page number 129. Right? So here ignorance is the root of the samsara, root of the sufferings, root of all the afflictive emotion. We need to cut. We need to eliminate. How? Through meditate on emptiness. How we can meditate on emptiness? We must realize emptiness. How? First, you must identify the object of negation. Then you negate the negation on the self, on the five aggregates. If you don't, identify the object of negation very carefully, you have two problems. Therefore, before the Lama Tsongkhapa, before his time, there were a lot of misunderstanding about emptiness because they negate the negation without identify the object of the negation. That means they said someone is absent without knowing who is really absent. Right? So now there's a two kind of views. Some of the previous masters said, previous Lama Tsongkhapa said, there's no production. Right? There's no conventional phenomena, only the ultimate phenomena. Then I ask you to do homework. Remember? Page number 129, showing that those assertions are wrong. This has how many parts? 2 parts. What are they? Unique feature of Madhyamaka. Number 2, critique does not eradicate conventional existence. So look at, if the Master already said there's no conventional phenomena. This is totally wrong assertion, showing that those systems contradict the unique feature of Madhyamaka, right? So showing that the Madhyamaka critique does not eradicate conventional existence. The number 1, showing that those systems contradict unique feature of Madhyamaka, or you can say Madhyamaka or Madhyamak. Both is okay. Because Tibetans say Madhyamaka, because the suffix they pronounce very strongly. If you don't want to, pronounce the suffix ka, you can say Madhyamak. Madhyamak. No, don't say Madhyamaka. Madhyamak. So, identify the distinguishing feature of the Madhyamaka. Number 2, showing that those systems contradict the distinguishing feature. How a Madhyamak respond to the who negate the distinguishing feature of the Madhyamaka or Madhyamak. So, identify the distinguished feature of Madhyamak. So, what is the distinguished, the unique feature of Madhyamak? Absence of existence. Any more? Dependent origination. Number 2. 3. Yeah, I think both of you say, I can say right, because still there's a few, very unique. So now we go little bit more. First sentence, Nagarjuna's 60th stanza of reasoning. So can you read this? Virtues, wisdom. Wisdom. Now, look at this sentence, very important. It really, explains the complete practice of the Mahayana or Bodhisattva paths. First, all sentient beings, right? Beings mean all sentient beings. Through these virtues, may all beings amass the collection of merit and wisdom. Collection of what? Merit and wisdom. Then attain true. What true? True embodiments. Right? Dhammakaya and Rupakaya. This true merit arising from where? Arising from merit and wisdom. True collection. True collection means actually simply we say true merits. What are the true merits? Every merits of wisdom, merits of methods. Otherwise you have a confusion. Collection means, need to accumulate, need to collect. Before you build something or before you cook something, you need to collect, right? Water, vegetable, or you need to collect certain things. Then you start to cook. Finally, you have the food. Right? Same thing, before you become a Buddha, you need to collect two types of merit. Because in Tibetan we say so ni. Ni means true. So means merit. Two merits. Two merits. Right? Two merits. How we can collect the two merits? Through practice of wisdom and methods. Right? That means there are two types of practice, which are methods and wisdom. Therefore, there are two types of merit. Right? There are two types of merit, therefore there are two kinds of achievement. So when you become a Buddha, you can have the Dharmakaya, you can have a Rupakaya. Clear? Two kayas. The Rupakaya refer to the Buddha's body, which is you can see. The Dharmakaya here refer to the cessation, right? Cessation of the Buddha. Cessation or omniscient. Right? Omniscient and cessation include into Dharmakaya. The Buddha's body include into Rupakaya. How we can achieve the two kayas? Through the collection of two merits. Right? Two merits. Through, the wisdom merits, you can achieve Dharmakaya. Through the methods merit, you can achieve the Rupakaya. Then how we can have, the two types of merit? Through practice of wisdom and methods. How we can have two types of practice? Because there are two truths. That means conventional truth connect with the method practice. Methods practice connect with the merit of methods. Then Rupakaya. Ultimate truth. Then wisdom. Then wisdom's merit. Then Dharmakaya. Clear? That means two truths. Therefore, two practices. Therefore, two merits. Therefore, two attainment. Okay, clear? Clear, right? Make sure. Look at next. What this means is that disciples who progress by way of the Supreme Mahayana vehicle will attain, upon reaching the goal, both the sublime embodiment of the truth and the sublime embodiment of the form. Right? That means finally there are two types of kayas. The first one, sublime embodiment of the truth, sublime embodiment of the form. The first is the Dharmakaya, second is the Rupakaya. This attainment, explained earlier, is based on the having amassed along the path immeasurable collection of merit and sublime wisdom. Right? So two attainment can be attained through two collections, collection of merit and sublime wisdom, collection within the which methods and wisdom are inseparable. Quite clear, right? So yes, now we can see two merits, then two attainments, both of depend on the practice of wisdom and methods, inseparable. Very important. Therefore, so for example, when you practice compassion, when you meditate on compassion, your compassion towards whom? Can be individual person, can be for the group, can be for all sentient beings. So when you meditate, when you generate compassion towards all sentient beings, that moment, do you remember there's always three things always there: action, agent, and do you remember? When you give something to someone, you are giver. You are giver. Then you have something to give. Then there's a recipient. Right? Always, when you practice compassion, you are practitioner. Then you practice what? Compassion. You practice compassion towards whom? For others. For other. That means the person to practice compassion, you are the practitioner, practicing compassion action. So when you practice compassion, you must remember the person whom you practice compassion. The person, the animal is a object to practice compassion. So when you remember others, you must know others are there, but those are not there as a intrinsically. When you practice compassion, yes, you generate compassion, you can feel it. Now I have a compassion. The compassion is there, but not there as intrinsic nature, intrinsic existence. Also, you must remember, you must know, yes, at this moment, I practice compassion. That means you remember yourself. Also, you yourself also am empty of intrinsic existence. So when you practice compassion this way, then the compassion combine with the wisdom. Right? You practice compassion based on knowing, based on knowing the truth. the reality. Right? This means you must, practice together or unanimously. Also, when you offer a light, when you, burn an incense, just hold the incense. Also, you are offering the incense to whom? To the Buddha or Bodhisattva. Then action, agent, then what? The object to offer. Remember, also, empty of intrinsic existence. That means also symbol, light leading also combined with the wisdom. Sublime, immeasurable. That in turn, definitely relies upon attaining certain knowledge of the diversity of phenomena. That means, in order to practice the wisdom and methods inseparably, you need what? Certain knowledge of diversity of phenomena. That means you must know the conventional truth. The conventional truth. This profound knowledge of the diversity of phenomena, this profound knowledge understand that there's the relation of cause and effect, or conventional cause and effect, such as that specific beneficial and the harmful effect arise from specific causes and condition. Cause, right? That means you need the profound knowledge about the conventional phenomena. What does mean? You need good understanding. You need a profound knowledge, understands that the relationship between what? Cause and effect. Right? Profound knowledge, it doesn't mean, you can see, the seeds can produce sprout can produce, branches can produce fruit. It's not really, profound. Look, cause and effect is such as that specific, right? Specific or specific? Specific benefit and harmful effect arising from, specific cause. I mentioned many times when we have the Buddhist science class. First, you study, relationship between cause and effect based on the external phenomena, right? But we cannot see, for example, you have a, fresh sprout. You put in house. And just you bring out just for 1 minute. But we cannot see there's a changes. We cannot see. Actually, when you put in light, the sprout got some effect. When you bring in, also it got some effect. This effect depends in very particular condition, but we don't see. Same thing, when you have a, positive minds, positive thoughts, also you got certain effect. Very little positive. Also you got some, effect. When you have a little, for short moment, negative thoughts, also you got impact. You don't understand. We don't understand, right? We don't realize. Therefore, you need a very good understanding of relationship between cause and effect. Very little cause have a little effect. There's not any cause cannot give any effect. That means you need the profound knowledge about the conventional phenomena, particularly the relation between cause and effect. Therefore, why we need to practice Dharma? Dharma can teach us how we can have positive thoughts, how we increase the positive energy or positive thoughts, how decrease the negative thoughts, how decrease the negative energy. If you have a little negative thoughts, you can have a negative impact, negative effect. When you have a positive thoughts for just one moment, 1 second, you can have some effect, some positive effect, positive impact. Right? Therefore, all Dharma mainly teach you two things: increase and decrease, decrease and increase. At the same time, amassing the collection of merit and wisdom also definitely relies on attaining the certain knowledge of the real nature of phenomena. Of course, that in order to practice the wisdom and methods, the unionly, you need two knowledge separately. Right? Knowledge about the conventional phenomena, knowledge about the ultimate phenomena or reality. When you have the two knowledge, you can combine, you can put together. Otherwise, you cannot. Attaining certain knowledge of real nature of phenomena. This means reaching a profound certainty that all phenomena lack even a particle of essential or intrinsic nature. That means, yes, the profound knowledge of conventional phenomena means you need a perfect understanding of how things, functioning, how things are really functioning around you. Why this morning I was happy? Why this morning I was upset? How I can have this problem, this problem. Everything relies on cause and condition. Right? That's why we said, if you want to be happy, have a positive thoughts. You want to be happy, reduce all the negative karma, all the negative action. Right? If you need more problem and suffering, increase all the negative thoughts, negative action, things, right? Then finally you can see little, very small cause have a small effect. When you have this kind of understanding, then you have a profound knowledge of conventional phenomena. Right? Next, the profound knowledge of the reality relies on attaining certain knowledge of the real nature of phenomena. This means reaching the profound certainty that all phenomena lack even a particle of essential of intrinsic nature. That means all phenomena lack of what? Lack intrinsic nature. Even though there's not small things which exist intrinsically. Clear? Certain knowledge of the both diversity and the real nature is needed, because without them, it is impossible to practice the whole path, both methods and wisdom, from the depth of your heart. Now you can see, at the basic, you need a true profound knowledge. Profound knowledge about ultimate truth, the reality, profound knowledge about the conventional. So what does mean the profound knowledge of the conventional truth? You need a good understanding of relationship between cause and effect and cause. That means all the bad effect, all the bad result arise from bad causes and condition. All the good result arise from where? Good causes and condition. Same thing, the happiness, which is we always seeking. All happiness must arise from positive causes and condition. The suffering we don't want also arising from bad causes and condition. Right? You need this kind of knowledge. Not just intellectual level, you really need a conviction, strong and very pure conviction. If you have the profound knowledge about knowledge, relationship between cause and effect, then when you need to lie, when you need, certain reason, when someday you need to lie, you have to no choice. When you need to lie, you tell the lie, you feel scared. You feel scared. Because lying is very small, but it can have an impact. Its impact is positive, is good, but the impact always negative. Then, when you think to do some good thing, you feel very happy. The little thing is the positive action, but you have a positive impact. That means if you have a profound knowledge about conventional phenomena, you always, eager to do good things. Right? Good thing. You really, what you call, scared to do bad things, to say bad thing. As many Buddhists you can see, they really don't care. They say good thing is okay, bad things okay, because they don't have a profound knowledge about the conventional phenomena. They don't have a right understanding relationship between cause and effect. Clear? The second, yes, also we need the profound knowledge of the reality. What does mean reality? Then lack of intrinsic nature. There's no all phenomena is there. Good, bad, hot, cold, beauty, ugly, everything is there. We cannot deny, right? We cannot deny. This table is here, the book is here, I'm here, you are there. We are there. But all of things, everything not exists intrinsically. Everything, the nature is lack of intrinsic existence. Even though there's not small atom which exists inherently, intrinsically. Right? This means when you have the profound knowledge about reality, emptiness, that means look like you are just, for you, when you have this kind of knowledge, for you everything look like dreaming. Dream. Everything look like dream. What does mean dream? Oh, it like illusion. Remember the example, the magician horse. The magician horse. So when the magician produce a horse on the stage, when the magician produce a beautiful person, attractive person on the stage, we feel happy. When they produce, very ugly and scary things, we feel scared. Actually, the ugly or the beautiful, the nice and ugly, everything what? Illusion. Illusion. Right? It look like dream. So when you reach kind of this kind of knowledge, for you, everything like dream. Right? If you're able to recognize everything look like dream, then somebody say good things about you, you don't care much. Somebody say bad thing about you, you don't care much because it look like dream. Then when you see, beautiful, attractive, nice object, are you care? This moment, care very much. Right? When we see some ugly thing, we feel scared because we don't recognize, the ugly phenomena is look like dream. So, after you study emptiness, it doesn't mean not there. The illusion, the magician horse is there. The magician person is there. Both are there, but not there as perceived to us. Right? For example, it's very clear when you watch a movie in the big theater, you can see the so beautiful movie and it's so nice. Certainly, if somebody turn on all lights, what you can see, you cannot see anything, right? Cannot see anything. The wisdom lights arise, everything look like disappear. Profound knowledge. Then first you need a true knowledge, then you can compound true knowledge. When you compound true knowledge, then you accumulating two merits, simultaneously. Then you will achieve the two attainments. Next important here, because without them, it is impossible to practice the whole path. Whole path, right? Otherwise, without having this true knowledge, all our practice become piece and piece. Bit and bit here and there. So when you have this true knowledge, two practice together, then you have the whole path. You have a complete practice. This is key to the path that lead to the attainment of the true embodiments. When the result is reached, whether you get it right depend on how you establish your philosophical view of the basic situation. Right? That means, so this is so important. Also, it depends on the right, is whether you get it right. Whether you have the right knowledge or not, it depends on how you establish your philosophical view of the basic situation. The way to establish that view is to reach certain knowledge of the two truths, as I have just explained them. Except for Madhyamaka, except for Madhyamakas, other people do not understand how to explain these two truths as non-contradictory. That means other person is referred to other, proponent, other follower of the school. Other people do not understand how to explain these two truths as what? Non-contradictory. They see them as a mess of contradictions. However, experts, possessed of the subtlety, wisdom, and vast intelligence, expert called Madhyamaka, have used their mystery of techniques of knowing of the true truth to establish them without even the slightest trace of the contradiction. So only Madhyamaka, person can explain the true truth. There's no any contradiction. That means, look at, it really makes sense. For example, before you touch the fire, you can imagine the fire is there, not exist intrinsically, right? When your hand reach too close to the fire, you can feel the heat. More closer, it can burn, right? Then you think, how is come? It's not exist intrinsically. It exists from there. Is burn my hand, right? That means when you think the functioning, phenomena, then you think things are exist intrinsically. When you do analytical meditation, when you analyze that phenomena, then you feel not exist intrinsically. This, the person can see contradiction, totally contradictory. One way you can say everything lack of intrinsic existence. On the other hand, you can see how I can accept cause and condition. They always see contradiction between everything lack of intrinsic existence, accepting cause and condition. If you accept cause and condition, you cannot accept everything, lack of intrinsic existence. When you accept everything, the nature, lack of intrinsic existence, you cannot accept the cause and condition. That's why there's a look like big contradiction, but the Madhyamaka master, the expert, can explain. However, expert possess of the subtlety, wisdom, and the vast intelligence. Expert called Madhyamaka here have used their mystery of techniques for knowing the true truths to establish them without even the slightest trace of contradiction. In this way, they reach the final meaning of what as a Congo taught. So when you have this knowledge, yes, everything exists, but not exists inherently, intrinsically. When you reach your knowledge this kind of in this level, that's when you reach to the conqueror's thought. Finally, then you can understand. You understood the final meaning of what the conqueror taught. He taught emptiness. This gives them as a wonderful sense of respect for our teacher and his teaching. Teacher Dipang, the Buddha Shakyamuni, his teaching. Out of the respect, they speak with the utter sincerity, arousing their voice again and again. You who are wise of meaning emptiness of intrinsic existence, dependent arising does not mean that there's and does not exist. Okay, this is another important here. Is dependent arising, it does not mean that the things do not exist. It does not mean that they are empty of capacity to function. Right? Capacity to function. Is empty. Emptiness doesn't mean what? Yeah, empty of the capacity of function. It has a function. It can produce. All the production is there. Scholars who are the Buddhist essentialists may have the great training in many topics of the learning, but they do not accept the Madhyamaka view, and their dispute with the Madhyamaka is as follows. Look at that means the rest of the the proponent, rest of the people who follow the other three schools. They are very intelligent. Also, they have a great training in many topics of learning, but they do not accept what? Do not accept the Madhyamaka view, and their dispute with the Madhyamaka is as follow. Now look at the dispute here. If all phenomena are empty, right? If all phenomena are empty, lacking any essential or intrinsic nature, then all of the teaching on sacred existence and nirvana, abundance, like freedom and so forth, are untangible. Untangible, right? Yeah, untangible. This is the main dispute between Madhyamaka and rest of the proponent. Proponent, right? Proponent means who follow the school, who propon. Once more, if all phenomena are empty, then lacking intrinsic nature, then teaching on sacred existence and nirvana, Rome, and so forth are untenable. That means all phenomena, nature is emptiness. Then how you can say, the Buddha said, samsara, sacred existence, freedom, how is possible, right? There's how you can accept, how you can explain. Look at the next stanza. Please read the next. Exists. Now this argue, dispute from whom? The rest of the proponent. Yeah, Vabhashika, Chitta Mantra, Swatantika, all of them. Even though Madhyamaka has a two, right? Pasangika and Swatantika. Yeah, Swatantika and Pasangika. Also, Nagarjuna follow which school? Pasangika, right? Except Pasangika. Even though within the Madhyamaka there's a two, groups. Pasangika and Swatantika. Swatantika also, argue with the Pasangika. Because Swatantika, the proponent also still believe something from there, except, Pasangika. Otherwise, the rest of the school argue same way. If all there were empty, there would be no arising and no disintegration, right? That means everything is empty, completely there's nothing. If, all these are empty, there would be no arising and no disintegration. It would be followed that for you, the Four Noble Truths would not exist. This is the argument. They say that if this is the empty of intrinsic existence, then production, disintegration, and Four Noble Truths would not be tangible. There's a quotation. If all things are completely without intrinsic nature, then you would also lack intrinsic nature and cannot refute intrinsic existence. Right? They say, if this is empty, then your word is empty. So how you can refute? Without intrinsic nature, then your word also lack intrinsic nature and cannot refute intrinsic existence. That's right. That's mean, listen, simple he say, if fire is cold, how you can heat the water? That means in order to heat, the nature must be hot. If the hot, they can heat something, cook something, right? Now we go more precisely for, I think, 2 pages. I thought it's very important. Okay, now here what you can learn. That means there's 2 attainments, 2 types of merit, 2 types of practice. That means there's 2 truths. 2 truths, therefore 2 types of practice, methods and wisdom. There are 2 types of practice, therefore there are 2 types of merits. There are 2 types of merits, therefore there are two kinds of attainment. Right? 2 truths, 2 practice, wisdom methods, then 2 merits, then 2 attainment is linked each of them. Now, how I can practice, methods and wisdom? That means in order to practice in methods, you need the profound knowledge about conventional phenomena, right? Merely you need a profound, right knowledge about the relationship between cause and effect. Second, also you need the profound knowledge of reality or truth, which is emptiness. What does mean emptiness? Emptiness means lack of intrinsic nature. So that means now 2 truths, conventional and ultimate truth. There's 2 truths. So actually all schools, Chitta Mantra, Swadhantaga, what all schools say, there's no contradiction between 2 truths. No contradiction. I'll make sure you shouldn't have a confusion. No contradiction. Every school proponent accept the 2 truths. There are no contradiction. But they think according to the, Madhyamaka, according to the Pasangika school, they can see contradiction. They say, yes, I accept 2 truths. According to my tradition, there's no contradiction. I can accept conventional truth. I can accept ultimate truth as well. I can accept, but I can see you have according to you, your tradition, I can see contradiction. How? Because you said everything empty of intrinsic existence. Nothing exists intrinsically. Then how you can accept cause, condition, nirvana, and samsara? Right? So according to the rest of the proponent, can see contradiction according to the Pasangika school. The Pasangika school said, then if the word is here, if all this there were empty, there would not be arising, no disintegration. You will be followed that you Four Noble Truths would not exist. Second, look at, if all things are completely without intrinsic nature, then your words also lack intrinsic nature and cannot refute intrinsic existence. This is their argument. They are, criticized. They are critic to the Pasangika. They say that if words lack intrinsic nature, then they can either refute intrinsic nature nor prove its absence. Right? That means everything nature is empty of intrinsic nature. The word also what? Lack intrinsic nature. Then what happened? Then they can neither refute intrinsic nature nor prove its absence. They argue from the supposition. The argument that they thought, they suppose, right? Supposition that if there is no intrinsic nature, then what? Then the agent and object of production are not tangible, and neither are the process of revelation and proof. Then dispute with us on the ground that the argument which refute intrinsic existence will refute all functionality. Therefore, when essentialists and Madhyamaka debate about their disparate tenets, very unique, very uncommon things, they debate exclusively about whether all teachings about sacred existence and nirvana can be appropriate for the when this empty intrinsic existence. Right? Now they have a really very strong doubt about Madhyamaka. Because they think, empty lack of intrinsic nature means everything is empty, nothing there. If there are nothing, the word is not there. Then how you can refute? How can you prove? Because the word is not there. Then also Buddha taught about sacred existence, nirvana, also cannot accept. The distinguishing feature of Madhyamaka is the of teaching about sacred existence and nirvana. Okay, this is one of the, unique or distinguishing feature of Madhyamaka. All the teaching about sacred existence and nirvana, agent and object of the production, refutation, proof, and so forth, in the absence of even the particle of essential of intrinsic nature. That means, in the reality, nothing exists intrinsically. Everything lack intrinsic existence, still they can establish everything. This is one of the unique, one of the distinguished feature of the Madhyamaka. When Madhyamaka said like this, for the the rest of the proponent, they feel nothing there, but samsara, nirvana, everything is there. For them look like that. There's nothing there. But Buddha is there, Four Noble Truths is there. They thought it cannot accept. Cannot accept. Therefore, what happened, when you go to Bodh Gaya, when you walk around the Mahabodhi Stupa, somebody say Buddha remained here 1 week here, 1 week there, 1 week there, 49 days, right? He didn't give any teaching. He remained silently for 49 days. Then, I think Brahma, Vishnu, they requested him to give a teaching. He remained silent. Why he remained silent for 49 days? Do you remember the words? I found peace, profound peace. Remember the sentence? Yeah. The profound peace, free of liberation, clear light, and permanence look like, fine. I found the truth, the nature of phenomena like a nectar. Ancient time, nectar is, I think, one of the, look like medicine, like liquid. When you drink the nectar, you're completely free from all kinds of sickness and disease, very healthy. So if you say, I found the profound and perfect teaching, I'm not going to keep the teaching anybody because nobody is going to understand. Look at this is the no understand that. Okay, we can have a short break. Okay, so we go a little bit. We walk through the rocks. Okay. Again, in the short, Madhyamaka said, all phenomena lack in intrinsic existence. Right? That means nothing exists inherently, solidly. Solid also not, solid as a rock, no. Nothing exists inherently, independently, safely. Nothing exists is safe. Everything exists depend on something. That means, the nature is lack of intrinsic existence. Then, rest of the proponent think they feel, or according to, their tradition, they cannot accept anything. They cannot accept Buddha, Four Noble Truths, samsara, because nature is intrinsic of existence. Lack of. Then, next, the sentence here, if all this were empty, there would not be arising and no disintegration. It would follow that for you, the Four Noble Truths would not exist. And also, if all things are completely without intrinsic nature, then your words also lack intrinsic nature and cannot refute intrinsic existence. They cannot refuse, cannot prove. Cannot refuse intrinsic nature, cannot prove, its absence. Then, the one of the unique, the distinguished feature of Madhyamaka is admissibility of all teachings about sacred existence and nirvana, agent, object of production, refutation, proof, and so forth, in the absence of even a particle of essential or intrinsic nature. That means everything can establish within the absence of intrinsic existent phenomena. That means nothing exists inherently, still can establish everything. Right? Everything can establish well, but everything cannot exist intrinsically. This is one of the unique feature of the Madhyamaka. Next, you can see here the reduction experience, the falsity that all in untenable, it cannot write about emptiness. Thus, forsaking emptiness as you have is not right for me. So they criticize to, the Madhyamaka proponent. For those to whom emptiness makes sense, you must memorize. For those to whom emptiness makes sense, everything makes sense. For those to whom emptiness does not make sense, nothing makes sense. Right? It's very important. You must memorize this sentence. That means, if you accept emptiness, then you can accept everything. If you cannot accept emptiness, you cannot accept anything. Right? Nothing makes sense. Nagarjuna says that flawless does by the essential such as if all these are empty, there will be no arising, no disintegration. Do not apply it to those who advocate the absence of intrinsic nature. Moreover, he also said that things such as production and disintegration are tangible within the position of emptiness of intrinsic existence, whereas they are not tangible within the position the phenomena are not empty of intrinsic existence. Right? That means it's opposite. Other schools say if you believe in everything like intrinsic existence, you cannot establish anything. Right? The Madhyamaka is opposite. If you don't accept, if you don't believe in everything in like intrinsic existence, you cannot establish everything. It's opposite. Lower school said what? If you accept everything emptiness, you cannot establish anything. The Madhyamaka said to them what? If you don't accept emptiness, then you cannot establish. Right? It's opposite. Not only does the falsy experience expressed in the reduction state by the essential simply not essentialist also, essentialist mean again, essentialist related to the essence. Essentialist related essence, because rangsen gituba, rangsen, essentialist related to the essence. That's why in last week I said, this is table, this is a book. How this thing, I'm not saying this table, how I'm saying how this object became a table, how this object became a book. How? Why? Why this is a table? Why this is a book? Why this is a table? No. Everything designation, then why this is table, why it is not table, why it is book, why it is not a book? Function. Are you sure? Okay, let's say function. Good. What is the function of the table? What's the unique function of the table? What's the unique function of the book? How we can say this is table, right? This is not table. These both can function same thing, right? I can sit on the table. I can put my book on the bed. I can change the function. But we cannot change, the truth. It never be table. This never be a bed. The function is same. So, therefore, it's very simple. According to other school, they believe this is a table because it has some essence there. There must be some essence. There must be something to be a table. There must be something to be a book. There must need something. There must need very unique things in order to be table, in order to be a book. They thought there's something must be there. Otherwise, we cannot say this is table, this is not a table. Right? Very unique. That's what the essentialized means, related to the essence. There must be something. They believe there must be something. Otherwise, everything mixed up. Everything became, mixed up. They thought there must be something. That's why essentialist, essential. Then Madhyamaka is very simple. They are more closer to us. For example, before this house was what? Maybe office. Right? Then TBC rent this house. Then we move all the object, then this become what? This building become Tibetan Buddhist Center. Nobody argue. Why it is Tibetan Buddhist? Why not? We just give a name. Then we satisfy. We never no need argument. Right? So Madhyamaka said, based on something, when you just simply give a name, this enough. You should not have any further argument. Remember, the best example given by in the Madhyamaka, actually, okay, in the center, who is this? Buddha Shakyamuni. Below, Mangalputra and Shariputra. Let's say this is Buddha, right? This is Buddha. This is Mangalputra. Then, later someone come in the center. They don't know which one is Buddha Shakyamuni, which one is the Shariputra. They have argument. Then I come down. Then I say, why are you arguing? Argue about what? One person said, this is Mangalputra, Shariputra. Other person said, this is Buddha. Then I need to finalize. They say, no. This is Buddha Shakyamuni, not Shariputra. This is a Shariputra. Then they believe me, they trust me, yeah, he's right. His center is Buddha Shakyamuni, right? In the reality, there are no Buddha Shakyamuni, no Shariputra, just painting. Right? No, just painting. This means how the worldly person establish. Simply just build a house, TBC, make some object, like cup, plate, spoon. They just give a simple name based on something function, something randomly. No argument. Other school thought it is not that simple. There must be something. There must be something. For example, becoming, you have Prime Minister, right? Becoming Prime Minister, how the person became Prime Minister? Through voting. Few more vote more, he win, he or she became Prime Minister. That's it. Just make a rules, people follow the rules, should not argue. That means they thought, since worldly being named, this is table, we just accept. We should not argue why this is table, why this is chair, you have same function. Right? So Madhyamaka has a simple idea. He said, I'm not argue with the worldly being. Worldly being argue with me. He said, I accept what you accept. This is house, this is table, this is chair. I accept. I'm not going to argue. Actually, you are arguing with me because I said everything is emptiness. But you are not ready to accept my view. You argue with me. I'm not arguing with you. I accept what you believe. Right? That's why here. Yes.
That statement is not so correct. You said Madhyamika says, I agree what you agree, right?
Mm-hmm.
So the normal people agree that there is no intrinsic existence. So does the Madhyamika accept that there is a intrinsic existence?
Normal people, they no argue. There's no any argument. Things exist intrinsically or not. when they reach to the philosophical level, then they argue. Yeah. Normal people look at, I said, ordinary being, normal human being. What is this? This is table. What is this? This is book. Why this is table? What is this book? Just, somebody give this object as a table. This is a book. We just follow, right? So, exists intrinsically or not. It's not the ordinary beings kind of, consideration. When you reach to the highest level, high philosophical view, then there's always argument. Okay, nothing makes sense. Then here, for us, okay, next page, there's a few things we need to know. Page number 132. The 26th chapter, the fundamental of the wisdom, 26th chapter of Nagarjuna Fundamental Treatise teaches the stage of production in forward progression of the 12 factors of dependent arising and the stage of the cessation in the reverse progression. Very important. This way, 26th chapter mainly explain 12 links interdependence. Okay? How they explain? The production in the forward progression, right? Progression. Reverse, what? Cessation. This means when you go through the, the forward, ignorance, then formation, then consciousness, all the way going to until death. That means how death come, just ignorance, karma, consciousness, name and form, all that is just forward. When you go through the forward, you will understand at the end what's the consequence of at the end of the ignorance until samsara. Reverse means how I can stop aging and death. You can stop aging and death when you stop birth. You can stop birth. Yeah. So all the way, finally, you can stop the rest of the dwelling dependent when you cease ignorance. Then you can see cessation finally come when you cease the ignorance. Right? Chapter 26. Then other 25 chapters mainly refute intrinsic existence. Then 24th chapter analyze the Four Noble Truths. It demonstrates at length that none of the teaching about the sacred existence and nirvana arising distinction makes sense in the context of non-emptiness of the intrinsic existence. And how is very important, look at demonstrate at length none of the teaching about sacred existence, nirvana, arising, disintegration, etc. makes sense in the context of non-emptiness of the intrinsic existence. And how all those do make sense within the context of emptiness of the intrinsic existence. Right? In the context of non-empty of existence, then there cannot be nirvana, cannot be arising, cannot be disintegration, there cannot be anything, right? In the context of, within the context of emptiness of intrinsic existence, then you can establish everything. That means true, right? That means in the context of non-existence, non-emptiness, cannot establish anything. Then in the context of emptiness of intrinsic existence, you can establish everything. Hence, you must know how to carry this implication of the 24th chapter over other chapter. Therefore, those who currently claim to teach the meaning of Madhyamaka are actually giving the position of the essentialist. That's right. That means that before the Lama Tsongkhapa, during his time, who teach meaning of Madhyamaka are actually giving the position of the essentialist when they hold that all cause and effect are impossible in the absence of intrinsic existence. The next sentence, can you read the two sentences? Dependently, we explain as emptiness. Is a dependent disintegration, this is the middle way. Because there's no phenomenon, there is not the dependent arising. There's no phenomena, there is not emptiness. Okay, there's few things you must memorize. First, for those to whom emptiness makes sense, everything makes sense. For those to whom emptiness doesn't make sense, nothing makes sense. The next one, that which arises dependently, right? That which arises dependently, we explain as a emptiness. Now it means dependent arising, emptiness is the same meaning. This emptiness is dependent designation. This is the middle way. Next one, because there is no phenomenon, there is no dependent arising. There is no phenomena, there is no emptiness. Right? That means everything arises dependently, therefore everything is emptiness. Yeah, this emptiness is dependent designation. Okay, dependent designation also, not just designation. For example, do you, according to your knowledge, have you ever seen, the frog has a hair? Frog has a hair or not? No, or haven't seen yet? No. Yes, rabbit horn, frog hairs, right? It can be designate, can be, designation, but not designation, dependent designation. That means not say, designation, it say this emptiness is dependent designation. This is the middle way. Now you know what does mean emptiness. Emptiness means dependently arise. What does mean dependently arise? Again, emptiness. Because there is no phenomenon that is not dependent arising, right? That means all phenomena dependently arise, dependently exist. Arise not necessarily arise from causes condition. Okay, arise means exist or existent phenomena. There's no phenomena, there is not empty. Now first sentence. That which is arise dependently, we explain as emptiness. That means something arise, exist dependently. The opposite is what? Independently. Something arise dependently, then those phenomena never be arise independently, never be arise intrinsically. That means the nature is empty of intrinsic existence. That means when you say, I can walk independently, that means you no need to rely on anything, right? Actually, nobody can walk independently, right? Can or cannot. Because when we walk, we need to depend on the land, road, light, leg, right? But we say, I can walk myself. Actually, you cannot. That means when you depend on something, that means your leg independent. When you exist independently, then you are lack of. When you depend on something, you are lack independent. When you exist independently, lack of. That means look at the emptiness. What does emptiness is not, doesn't mean nothingness. Things are there. Things are there, but is there merely designation? Things are there mainly dependent on something. Otherwise, if something exists independently, then what happened? What's the problem? Just think, just imagine here. If somebody says something exists independently, then what? Yeah, they say it exists independently. Yeah, permanent, right? That means, for example, if the table exists independently, there cannot be any changes. Right? If you can see there's something changes on this table, that means changes depend on something. Right? That means emptiness means always think. What does meaning of emptiness mean? Dependent arising. Dependent arising again, emptiness. It doesn't mean exactly the meaning, the point. Why things arising independently? Because the nature is lack of inherent existence. Why all phenomena lack intrinsic existence? Because arising dependently. So you just, use both way. Meaning of emptiness. So we read a few sentences, then we can stop. I think I can see people are so tired. Nagarjuna said the dependent arising are necessarily empty of intrinsic existence. Do not turn this statement on its head by claiming the what produced and dependent on the cause and condition must be intrinsic existence. Similarly, next sentence. Please read. Whomever emptiness makes sense, everything makes sense. Whoever emptiness makes no sense, they make sense. Our bow to the Buddha, supreme teacher, who taught the emptiness dependent arising, and middle way hold the single meaning. Next one. Uncalled Tathagata taught, because all things are empty of intrinsic existence. Things are dependent arising. Those who contingent. Those who claim the dependent arising exist in reality, who can views. That means actually we are kept it by wrong view. So the last sentence is a very nice one. Like a moon reflected in the water, are neither real nor unreal. So let's see, we are looking at the reflection of the moon in the water. Right? If somebody say it is real or not unreal, what is your answer? Yes, correct. Very good. Say, we just go around, we saw reflection of the moon. It is real or not? It depend on what? If you asking, this is the real moon? He said, no, it's not real moon. But it's a real, is there. Is there, right? For us, we believe the reflection of the moon is the real moon. Real moon. Now think about the reflection moon in the water. Is there, you can see, is there because of the water. We need a water. We need a clear water. The reflection is there, depend on the water and the clear water. But due to some, do you remember the story about the monkeys? 500 monkeys, right? That's why many, even though many animals, they don't understand the real thing and the reflection, right? You can see the discover, So for us, like, we don't understand the real moon and the reflection. We just think the reflection moon is the real moon. For us, everything exists independently. We thought this is a real. Is a reality, right? We thought this is reality. That means we just think the reflection of the moon is the real moon. We don't see the real moon. That means everything for us intrinsic existence. We thought this is the reality. Opposite is what? Not exist intrinsically, so we don't understand. That means we cannot see the real moon. We're happy with the reflection of the moon until now. Now we need to change this perception. Whatever see for us, those are not real. The real is the thing which is merely designation, merely arising from dependently. This is the real. For us is opposite. Okay. The next lessons, we very much focus on dependent arising and emptiness. So, still, we haven't finished the distinguished feature of the Madhyamaka. We found one here. Next, there's a few. So before we stop the class here, page number 138. 138. Mm. 138, the second paragraph. What will help you to find the right view? Then you should be a pure in upholding your ethical commitment. Condition 1, right? Condition number 1. So in order to realize emptiness, first what you need? At basis, you should be pure in upholding your ethical commitment. Then, condition number 2, strive in many ways to accumulate the college of merit and wisdom and clear away the obscuration. Condition number 2. Condition number 3, learn making effort to the study and reflection upon the instruction. First, you have to be very pure, uphold your ethical commitment. That means always be honest, always be pure. Second, strive in many ways to accumulate the college of merit and wisdom. That means accumulate merit. Third, rely on learn, making effort to the study and reflection upon the instruction. Then, since certainty about appearance and certainty about the emptiness almost never develop together, it is extremely difficult to find the Madhyamaka view. This is what Nagarjuna means in the 24th chapter. So, it's something, Manjushri give advice to Lama Tsongkhapa, accumulate, two practice compound, which is accumulation and purification. So exactly, you be pure, uphold your ethical discipline, then accumulate lot of merit and study on all the instruction. Then you will realize emptiness. Actually, experienced master, mini master what said, I hope you remember, when you study bodhicitta, great compassion, renunciation, for you very easy to understand, but so difficult to generate, so difficult to accomplish. Clear? Because everybody can understand compassion. When you practice compassion, you can have a compassion someone, you cannot have compassion everybody. You can have compassion today, you cannot have compassion tomorrow. Morning, yes, afternoon, no. Right? Right? Compassion. Very easy to understand, difficult to generate, difficult to accomplish the bodhicitta and compassion. Emptiness, very difficult to understand. When you really put effort, very easy to realize. It's opposite. Generating compassion, very difficult to generate, easy to understand. Emptiness, very difficult to understand, easy to realize. Because until now, we never ever heard about emptiness, empty. This may be first time in our life. Many eons, maybe this life is the first time we had emptiness. This is why we don't understand, right? Compassion we had many times in the past. Okay, we can stop here because the topic is quite heavy.